Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, my brother.
Hello, good evening. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, sir. Good to hear your voice all over again.
Nice to hear your voice.
Pleasure is
First
all
time
mine.
with you.
Thank you. Peter Obi, the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the February 25 election, has challenged the federal government to reveal the nation's deficit accumulated under President Bola Tinubu's government. I guess it meant President Buhari's government. Noor Ibadu, the National Security Advisor, bemoaned on Monday that the current administration inherited a bankrupt country from former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. He claims that the cash earned by the Tinubu's administration is being used to reimburse what has been robbed from the country. Let's take a listen.
On its own, in ensuring a robust and viable defense management and security apparatus to address contemporary challenges, even in the face of enormous budgetary constraints. And yes, we are facing serious budgetary constraints. It's okay for me to tell you, and it's fine for you to know, that we have inherited a very difficult situation. Literally a bankrupt country. No money. To a point where we could say even the earnings that we are getting now, we are paying back what was taken. It's serious. But this administration is doing its best to meet our requirements, particularly.
Joining us live is Biodun Showunmi, public affairs analyst. Biodun, good to have you guest on Plus Politics.
Thank you for having me.
How would you respond to the remark of the National Security Advisor?
Well, the National Security Advisor have said what most people know already in the public domain in terms of the way the Buhari administration ran the economy into high debt to the extent that we were spending 96% of our revenue by May this year to pay interest on debt, not even the principal debt, 96% of our foreign earnings. That was totally unacceptable. And not only that, they even went as far as, incurring debts which were not revealed in the financial statement of CBN. For instance, the Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan debts, which totaled almost $12 billion, were not revealed. They were not even captured or taken into consideration at the point of handing over. The other thing is they also did forward contracts. All the forward contracts, they've collected, what I mean by forward contracts is they sold our oil in advance in the futures market, up till December of this year. That is, we borrowed money saying that, look, once we sell oil on a monthly basis, they should keep taking the cost of the contract. So they have actually sold the oil which we are selling now. The only leeway which we have is as a result of the increase in price. And that's the difference that is being used, plus the revenue coming in, from the removal of fuel subsidy to run the economy. So technically, once you don't have enough foreign exchange, foreign reserves to cover at least 5 weeks of imports, then we are technically bankrupt. That is exactly what it is. We used to have 6 months, reserves. To the point that even when they declared that $11 billion was left in foreign reserves, when they discovered that it was 11, not the 33 billion handed over by Buhari, the actual cash in the foreign reserve was actually $5 billion. So with $5 billion, you hardly can cover 2-3 weeks import. So the NSA will be right to say that they inherited a country that has gone bankrupt. What happened is we were bankrupt, but with potential to get out of the bankruptcy. And I think that's exactly what the government is doing currently to see how to get out of this bankrupt situation we find ourselves.
So you will ordinarily agree with Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the LP, that it is incumbent on the federal government to then come out clean and categorically intimate the Nigerian public with the reality of the government coffers.
Oh, yeah, but it's already out. If you remember, the CBN did actually present its own account. And a forensic audit has been ordered, which Jim Obazi, of the former CEO of Financial Reporting Council, is currently carrying out. A preliminary report has been submitted, but not the final report. So therefore, Obi is right to ask for those information to be released. But it is premature. The Tinubu's administration cannot release, an initial report. Rather, they have to wait for the full audit, forensic audit of the nation's finances before they can now clearly and categorically say that this is how much we inherited, this is how much the debt that we have as a country. And I think Obi is jumping the gun. He should have waited for the completion of Jim Obazi's work. And if the federal government fails to inform the nation of the findings and the financial state of things, then he will be right, to call, for the release. But currently, there's no point in rushing. We are already inside the sea. You cannot be claiming of, feeling cold. What matters now is let the whole financial audit be completed, and then let us have the report made public, known to all Nigerians.
I want to believe that from the logic of your very coherent submission, an average opposition partisan may be saying Shadun Fronde to the government now, because come to think of it, the head of this government was a strategic personality in bringing about Buhari's administration in the first place and his re-election. So why would they have the temerity now to be complaining to Nigerians when they knew that they were hoisting an incompetent character on Nigerians?
Well, yes, many people have blamed Tinubu for helping to install Buhari in the presidency. They rightfully thought that he should share part of the blame. But the fact of the matter is, every single person that voted in that election should be blamed. If you have to follow that logic, because Tinubu only has one vote, he could foster a candidate through their own internal party mechanism on his own political party. But he cannot force the candidate on Nigerians. Nigerians had the choice, including people in opposition. They presented their candidates. And Nigerians decided the way they deem it fit. If you recall, by 2015, many people were so fed up with Jonathan's administration, and they would rather welcome a change, no matter what it portends. That was the state and the mood of the nation at that time. So, therefore, it would be unfair to single-handedly blame Tinubu, for foisting Buhari on the country. No, Tinubu could have played a role to foster Buhari on his party, but not on the country. We all voted. Many people, there was a popular clamor, say Baba everywhere. So it would be unfair to blame him, for the errors of the Buhari's administration. I also was carried away. At that point in time, I felt we needed a change, and despite the fact that I was a victim of Buhari diagnose rule, I was incarcerated, in solitary confinement. But I still supported because the country was not being governed well at that point in time. And that was why many people clamored for a change. But the matter is, you cannot now blame Nigerians, for exercising their rights at that point in time. We should be blaming Buhari, for having the opportunity to create a better country than the one he inherited, but has left us in a worse situation. He has left us in a worse situation. No matter, he made some little achievement, particularly in the areas of infrastructure. You cannot deny the railway line from Lagos to Ibadan, or deny Abuja to Kaduna Rail. But then, when you look at how much was spent on these projects, you then begin to ask yourself, why have we done this to ourselves? The construction of railway line to Niger Republic, what is our own business when you have not fixed your country? The building of highway, to Bamadi in Niger Republic, the construction of refinery in Niger Republic. This does not make sense when we did not have a functional refinery when Buhari was in power. So we have all have many reasons to blame Buhari, for the squandermania, for the thoughtlessness that underpinned his economic policy. But it would be wrong to blame every single voter that voted for Buhari, including Tinubu himself, or all members of APC, and say they are responsible for the administration of Buhari, when in reality it was Buhari that was in charge of all appointments, and he did what he thought he should do. But unfortunately, which has set us backwards. That's the truth of the matter. But it's convenient for politicians to overlook the aspect of the voting, that in reality, if Tinubu played a role, is only to produce Buhari as a candidate of APC, but not as the national president. It is the voters that actually voted for Buhari to be in office.
Some people are particularly peeved that somebody like Nuhu Ribadu would have the temerity to be condemning Buhari when he also worked for the materialization of Buhari as the head of the Nigerian government. And apart from that, he is still a bona fide member of the same party as Buhari's, and that virtually all of them in this administration are members of the APC. That's the source of the irritation of some people. Would you, if you were to have Nuhu Ribadu's ears, would you have counseled him to keep mum about it, or you felt he did the right thing regarding that pronouncement?
Honestly speaking, he keeps reminding me of what happens in other climes. I remember when Margaret Thatcher was in office, and we had the poll tax problem in UK at that time, and the government became so unpopular. And, there was one MP, a dark-stocking nurse, which was presented to, I think it's on to challenge Margaret Thatcher in power, and that was what led to her removal. James, that brought in Major. Major became the prime minister from the same political party, but he did not stop. He criticized the policies of Thatcher, and he then embarked, they changed it from poll tax to council tax, and embarked on some corrective steps. But he admitted and they apologized to the country. So in this case, if you come back to Nigeria, what Ribadu has done is to simply say, acknowledge the truth. Things have gone on. We've been able to change government in a democratic way through electoral process, not through the parliament in this case. But we have to acknowledge that things went wrong under Buhari, even though he himself will be seen to be, a key actor in supporting Buhari's regime. Of course he was. Nobody can deny that. But he cannot be held responsible for the actions and inactions of Buhari's regime. And now being in power, it would be right for him to come out clean with Nigerians to say, look, things went so bad, and then we have to fix it. And for me, I think that is perfectly in order. What would be wrong is for Nuhu Ribadu or Tinubu to continue to pretend that everything is fine, or everything was fine, when in reality, many Nigerians know that things went wrong. That would be wrong to do that just under the guise of where we are from the same party, so that they won't blame us, or we won't be guilty of collective guilt, for the errors made by Buhari's regime. That would be totally wrong. And I think I'll admire him for coming out clean to say, look, yes, it was a party that was in power then, but things went wrong. The president, managed it badly. It's just like when you look at Trump in America, we've had a president like Ronald Reagan, from the Republican. Then at times, party system do throw up the wrong candidate, and then you end up in serious trouble. But that does not necessarily mean that all the key operatives of that political party, are guilty. When it comes to government, those who are in political power, exercise that political power without recourse to the party. It is only when they need the party for electoral purposes to fill them as candidates that they go back to the party. That is the reality of how democracy is working in Nigeria. So I don't think we should blame Ibadu. Ibadu, rather, I will commend him, for being honest and coming out to say, look, things were wrong under Buhari, and then we're not trying to fix it.
Thank you very much, Biodun Showunmi, for adding value to Plus Politics today. We really do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.